This is a beginner's guide to show you the two most critical points to making beautiful feathers. Let's first review the ABCs of feathers that I did some time ago. And it was a simplistic child's drawing to show you how we can use that drawing to turn it into feathers. First we had the bird. We took that bird and cut him in half and made just an arc. Then we had the sun and brought it down to the tip of that arc. To continue with our feather, we drew our feather around that sun so that we had this nice rounded shape. To finish it off, we brought it back to where we started. That is the beginning of how you make a feather. Some people teach you that when you're making feathers, it's just like making half a heart. It's that easy. But let's think about that. That doesn't look at all like the feather that we drew before. And this is what you would end up with. Really? Is this how you want your feathers to look? Or do you really want them to look like feathers? The secret of a good feather is to make a slight curve up, just like the bird's wing. Make a nice gentle curve around. Swing back down to where you started and end in a point. Close up that feather. And when you think about it, we're not doing anything new. That's the way feathers are made. They come to a point. God's been making them that way for a long time, so why change it now? Let's view some feather disasters. Here's some that has a nice curve, but they don't close to a point. Again, these don't close to a point and don't have a very nice curve either. They're just not very full. Here's another struggling quilter trying to make feathers, but the problem is, again, they are not bringing it to a point. They're trying to make heart shapes. Hopefully, we're going to change that mode of thinking. Okay, with all that in mind, let's stitch a feather. Let's start with the swing up, around, nice full tip, and go back down to a point. Your ideal feather. Start with an S-shaped start, a nice full feather tip, and bring it back to a point. So, to sum it up, to unlock the mysteries of a nice feather, you want to start with a nice curve upward. Remember that bird wing. Remember going around the sun, that makes a full point. Most importantly, bring it home to a point. Okay, I've slowed down the video for you so you can really take a look at how this feather is formed against the spine. Do you see how it connects to the spine in a 45-degree angle? It just sort of slides right into that last feather that was in there. That's one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're making feathers. They don't bring it in at that nice 45-degree angle. That's what you're looking for. That will make your feathers so much more graceful looking. They will make them look like a real feather. If you look at a real feather, that's the way all the different hairs of that feather connect to the spine. They all come in at that angle. And that's what makes your feather look more realistic. So keep working on that as you're working with your feathers. Make that nice gentle curve up. Make that turn around the sun to make them nice and plump. But then bring it back down into a 45-degree. Now I'm going to show you a different way to make a feather. This is the way I started out. I found it a little bit easier to make those nice full, plump feathers. But you can do it any way you want. You're going to start out just like we did before with the first feather. This time, you're going to swing up higher. And you're going to go around the sun, but you're going to go around clockwise. Now you're going to backtrack what you just did until you get partially away around that curve. Now you're going to swing around that sun in the normal manner and come back down to your point again. Let's look at that again. Let's swing up further around the sun clockwise. Retrace those steps. Do a little bump out and back down to your point. That is what's called a bump feather. So no matter how you decide to make it, a feather is a beautiful thing. But we're trying to fill squares, and that's just not going to cut it. So instead of the usual feather with the spine down the middle, we're going to make the feathers our spine. So we're going to start out with a nice sized feather. We're going to use the back of this feather as the spine for subsequent feathers. And you'll see as we get further on in the lesson why that becomes an advantage. Okay, now we're ready to stitch our feathers in a square. Let's start with a nice big feather, like we normally do. We're going to use the back of this feather, remember, as the spine. So we're going to create feathers off of that. You want to swing your feathers out to the ditch of your square, because remember, you're trying to fill that square. That's the nice thing about feathers. You can really stretch them out to make them fit wherever you want them to fit. Remember, we're still coming in at a 45-degree angle. No matter what the shape of our feather is, we still need that angle to work with. We can swing in different directions. We're able to do some wonky curves, and it still all works out well. Remember, our object is to fill the feather entirely. So you're going to go in whatever direction you need to go in to accomplish that. I'm going to stretch way out here now into the corner to fill that in. And come back. Remember, we're still coming back at a 45-degree angle. Nothing has changed there. Now we're going to stretch up here to the seam line of our block. We're going to continue on filling this block until we're done, using the backs of previous feathers as our spine. Now we have this little area here we're going to fill in, and we're going to keep on going. As we get down further, we're going to swing those feathers around to try to fill in the entire block. And we've got this filled in here and nowhere to go. So again, use the ditch of your block and work down to where you need to be. Now let's swing in and create another big feather to work off of. Using the back of that feather, we can create another big feather. Now we're going to work off of that large feather to create another spine. Swing down in, fill it into the corner. Swing around to the bottom edge, fill that in. Swing around to the bottom edge again, fill that in. And we can swiggle down into this little edge here and finally fill in the last of it right here. And there you have it. You have a block filled with feathers, using the feathers as their own spine. So there you have it, folks. That's how you fill a square with feathers. I hope you enjoyed this lesson.